everybody, I'm Ika Ferrer-Gotić, and today it's my honor, a special kind of honor actually, to bring you the interview with one of the most inspiring people in the world, Nick Vujičić. He's here with us today in Sarajevo. Nick, welcome to N1.
Thank you very much. Dobar dan. I'm so sorry that you have to speak English because slabo govorim, ali hvala lepo. Thank you for... Pa hvala.
I started saying odlično govoriš.
Drago mi je.
Welcome to Sarajevo. It's such an honor. Such an honor.
I have felt very welcomed here. Thank you, Sarajevo, for your welcome.
Since you're here since Saturday, right?
Yes.
And how does it feel to be in Sarajevo?
Really, it moved my soul. It really, really has. I mean, if you know anything about my biography, you know that my parents are 100% blooded Serbian. I was born in Australia, living in California with my Japanese-Mexican wife, understanding the region of this world and the need for more inspiration, for hope, for love. I've been very well received, and I actually want to say thank you to all the media in Sarajevo that actually allows me to talk more about my faith in God than even America or some Western countries. And thank you for your love. It's been an incredible, incredible night last night speaking. And it was electric. I mean, you had Catholics, Orthodox, Protestants, Muslims were there, and it's all about love and
diversity,
hope.
Right?
And it's been an incredible experience.
And you bring us all the diversity with you. It's such a diversity. How much, like you said, your parents, if we go back to the beginnings, your parents are Serbians, they are immigrants, you were born in Australia. How much do roots actually mean to you? How important is that to you?
It's everything, because it's the way that I was brought up. You know, don't be...
Really? In what way?
Because really, we were not raised in an Australian cultural home. We were raised in a Serbian home. If you do something wrong, you get the kaiš. You get the belt. Done. Ping. You never complain. You're thankful for what you have. If I wanted something from the store, my dad said, no, get your own money. And so they actually made me vacuum the floor to make money, to then buy what I wanted. And so to be thankful, to never forget the poor people. I feel like the next generation has lost, especially in the West, this compassion for the younger people. My parents know what war is. My parents know what persecution is. My grandfathers on both sides were in jail. They were pacifists, and they were Nazarene. And so that never leaves you. It becomes a part of you. And to make sure that those values are instilled, to know to love each other, keep going, never give up on God, and God will not give up on you. And faith in Jesus is the most important thing.
That is the most important thing. When you think about compassion, when you think about people, when you think about, don't we lack compassion today?
We do.
When we see what's going on in the world, don't we lack that basic feeling of just feeling compassion towards each other, especially values. Where is all that? When did we lose that?
Wow, what a great question. Look, I think it all started with brokenness at home about 20 years ago. Divorce was becoming more and more prevalent, and that was, I'm not saying this is everything, but I mean, then internet came, and then pornography came, and now we see 9-year-olds in America who are actually addicted to pornography, slitting their wrists, and then Christians who think they're Christian on Sunday, they go to church in America and they tease and bully people at school on Monday, and I say, you're not a Christian. And I've actually seen sometimes even more generosity coming from a Muslim than a Christian sometimes. And so what we must understand is the human soul and the spirit is to understand that this world needs more positive love, help. 2 billion people hungry today. And here we are talking about, you know, sometimes equality issues. Sure, bring it to the table. Bring it in light. Bring equality to everyone. But don't bring a spotlight on one certain people or something that then puts everything else in the shadows. We still have 2 billion people dying, 2 billion people hungry, people dying because they have no food. 30 million slaves in the world. We put millions and billions of dollars.
In the 21st century, when you say slaves, it's 21st century. You have to go back and you have to think. 30 million. 30 million children, many of them children, sex slaves. I've met 650 children who were even sold by their mother
into slavery in some countries. And so when you've been to 72 countries and been able to meet 19 presidents, vice presidents, and spoken in front of 10 governments, you realize that there is corruption everywhere. And we need to come back to the basics, bring values into the government.
You mentioned now you met presidents, you met, I've seen the pictures, I've seen you met Nancy Pelosi, you met a lot of people that actually can make the difference. What is that they don't understand, or they do understand maybe, in order to make that change? Do they understand when you tell them, hey, we have 30 million slaves today? Do you get the reaction from them the way you would get a reaction from, you know, a child that you met that is a sex slave? Or
yes,
do they understand actually how important and how grave the situation is? When
you meet influential people, whether it's Nancy Pelosi, Vice President Mike Pence, yeah. President Trump, I've met him, when we have a brief moment with some powerful leaders, it's one thing to make policies or put money somewhere, right? The government, for instance, 15, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, everyone tried to help Africa, okay? And governments were coming together and uniting to help Africa. You had celebrities coming and helping. And then there were...
Remember the concerts, we remember.
We know all of that. And we all know the truth, that it all fizzled away through corruption. And you have presidents in Africa who were dying with $200 million to their name, and there are people dying of starvation. And we cross our arms and we say, well, we had policies and we tried. No, there are people and inspirations like Sir Richard Branson, who builds his own runway, brings his own 747, filled with 500 doctors on motorcycles, which are mobile medical units to go into the places where they need the basic needs, or else they're going to die. Yes, I try and bring some things to light with influential people, but really the deep thing is that we as a people and government, to me, the change that needs to happen is instilling social, emotional learning curriculum to bring values to the next generation.
Social,
emotional learning. It's a Washington, D.C.
That's what we lack.
It's a Washington, D.C. movement that happened last year to say we need not just to teach academics or business or politics. There's bullying in politics. There are children in America committing suicide because of bullying. We need to bring back the basics of life, love, respect, that you and I can look across. You know, I don't watch CNN news, and I don't watch many news. But when I look at anyone, eye to eye, I look at their soul, and I look at them and say, how can I help you to move on and be the best you can be?
Because if you change one person, somebody's world, it's like you change the entire world.
Exactly.
Right? You change the entire world of that person, right? Isn't that like that? We're just going to go back, Nick. I want to go back, and I have to mention this. Of course, you were born with the tetraamelia syndrome, so without fully formed limbs. Sometimes people will come and say, well, I'm listening to him, you know, he's an interesting individual and he's born with this syndrome, but that is not who you are. That doesn't make you you. I'm inspired. I've listened to you before I even seen you. So you have inspired me before I even knew. So I will take that factor away. I want to take that factor away. I have to mention this, and this really stayed with me, it struck me. According to your autobiography, and you mentioned this in your autobiography, when you were born, your mother, when the nurse was holding you, she was struggling with accepting you. Who told you that eventually? Was it your mom? Did she tell you that? And did that affect you in any way? How did it affect you? How did you look upon yourself first? In order to do what you do, you have to look inside yourself first, right? You have to search your soul.
Yes.
How did you do that? How did that happen?
So first of all, I was depressed between ages 8 and 12.
I know this is a very private question.
No.
But I would really appreciate if you...
No. I have no problem sharing it.
Thank you so much.
I have no pain because it's not weakness or a risk to share our past if you're really healed. Yes. And so I am really healed. and to help others, where we have my history is his story, God's story. And so he had a plan from the beginning. And so to share my history is his story of how he took a man without arms and legs to be his hands and feet. And so at age 10, I attempted suicide. At age 13, I hurt my foot playing soccer, and I couldn't walk for 3 weeks, and it was the first time I was thankful for my little foot instead of being angry at what I didn't have. I found the confidence and the time to ask my mum, Mum, tell me everything. And she told me.
At the age of 10?
At 13, I asked her.
13.
Because I finally felt like I was stable enough to maybe hear how.
And understand.
And understand. And be ready. Be ready to hear that,
the truth.
What she said, the truth. She said sometimes she'd wake up and she's living in a nightmare, and sometimes she just wanted to run. Sometimes it was very hard. It took her 4 months to hold me, to actually, with peace. She held me, but she had peace and acceptance. It was amazing because Babi Deda, or from both sides, said, if you want to give him up, we'll take him in. So they also had the family, yeah, and the church. And that was important.
The community.
The community. The community.
The community.
To say, we're here for you, we're going to pray for you, how can we help you? And there were some people that were not so encouraging sometimes, but they had enough. And they said, we're not anything special, Nick. We're just like anybody else. But we believe in God, and we love you, and we do anything for you that we could do with God's help. We took one day at a time. Wow. And every day, ako bogda, ako bogda, ako bogda.
Ako bogda. Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing this. And I would like to continue talking about community.
Yes.
You see how important communities are? What kind of children are we raising today? I'm wondering because you don't maybe watch it, but you know about, for example, school shootings. You know about bonds being broken between families. And I remember this saying that said, the children that do those things are actually just seeking for attention. They just want to be loved. They want to be held. And they're missing that. Is that what the children are missing today?
There are about 6 different factors. There are some people who are being abused at home. Some people who've never had love, yes, or going through pain, or their life is out of control, they have to control someone else's. That's number one. Number 2, it's social media. You know, I'm even struggling at times with social media because I see stuff that makes me angry. And there are times where I comment and then I quickly delete because I don't want to offend anybody. Social media, where everything you say can go worldwide. I mean, that's something that I'm struggling with. And
it's
then
public word.
It's public word, and it's done, and then you get judged. I can't even put a cevapciće on my social media because all the vegans, they judge me. And so, but am I now gonna not live and not? Yeah. So it's an interesting, very interesting political time where I'm offended by your existence and your opinion, and
Period.
Period.
No matter what it is.
Doesn't matter what it is. You'll stand for something.
Offended.
I don't care. But when I know, for instance, when I can stand upon the value of life, and I don't believe in abortion whatsoever, if I know that that's something that I feel like I need to make a stance on, I'll make that stance in the right time, in the right way. But us being different and us being looked at, I feel like it's also a fear of rejection, a fear of failure, a fear of the future. Many people without values. Still in America, the young people, they go in and they're looking at video games, and they're playing all the violence, all the films, many more. So it's all of this moving forward. It's be careful with what you do for your children. Don't give your children everything they want, when they want it, how they want it. You want to know why? Because that's where compassion goes.
Hey, tough love.
Because I'm entitled to everything I want, and when I get everything I want, how I want it, when I want it, they're not thankful people. And that's why I don't believe that many people have found happiness. They forgot to be thankful for their own existence. It's not about money, drugs, sex, alcohol, pornography, fame, and fortune. If you put your happiness in temporary things, your happiness will be temporary. And so understanding how technology is changing, but we can't just point the finger at well, it's technology's fault. No, when I go to the dining table, I don't take my phone to the table. If I do, my wife takes it away from me. We have house rules. When daddy's home, daddy's home. And so I interact. I think the respect, the love between a man and a wife, my wife is my best friend. She's not just my wife. She's not just a mother of mine. She's my best friend. And I love her. And every day I tell her I love her. And every day I tell her she's beautiful. And when my children see love, respect, serving one another, I think that helps my children to know what values are. How do I expect my son to be generous if they never see their own father being generous? Forgiving. Unforgiveness in this world, it's amazing. And that all...
Yeah, have you noticed?
Yeah, it's terrible because I'm entitled.
The smallest things.
Smallest things. Everyone's taken offense. And I'm not coming here angry or hot-headed. I'm just here to tell you the truth, that I feel like there is...
The straight honesty.
Straight honesty, we lack values. And some of us think, well, America, wow, you know, European Union, United Nations. No, America is not a god. UN, EU is not a god. God is God. And we must understand that in every country, things are different. In every country, you have different things going on. But one thing that we all need is love, values, and not just academics and money, but bringing back the necessity of an attitude of gratitude.
Let's talk about religion a little bit. Taking in consideration all the knowledge that you have about things that happened here in the Balkans, religion played a huge role there.
Yes.
How do we perceive religion then? You know, for somebody, I was a refugee during the war, for example. When I came back, when I heard all about the atrocities, when I heard about the genocide, when I learned about what happened in Croatia, in Bosnia, in Herzegovina, in Serbia, when I learned about all these places, sometimes I pull back and I say, hey, religion is not really a good thing when you think about it that way. How do we then perceive religion? How am I, for example, supposed to perceive religion myself and God?
If you see that glass of water, you just drank a glass of water, right? You took some water. Is water good? If I now try to get that glass of water and try to drown you with that glass of water, does that mean that water is no good? So how people use the name of God doesn't change who God is. And so there are many people who actually talk about God, but actually never read the Bible about love, about forgiveness, about moving forward in God's healing and renewal. God tells us to love. God doesn't tell us to go to war. There are many things about God that we don't understand.
And nobody's born with hate. Everybody's born with love. We are born with love, but we learn how to hate.
Well, we also have a nature, though, of jealousy. Just give me one toy and give me 2 3-year-olds and you'll see sin. We're born with sin. We're actually born to be jealous. We're born in the human nature. The Bible says we have a nature of sin. We become jealous. You know, jealousy is a sin. But when we realize, oh, I shouldn't be jealous, if someone's more blessed than me in my eyes, good, God bless them. But God's going to give me everything I need. Just as a simple example, we're not born holy, and not one person is more holy than the other. We understand that it's the forgiveness of God. And some people have a religion for the sake of religion, tradition, and culture. My parents were the same, so I'm going to be the same. And what I say is I challenge all my Christian friends back in America. And I say, don't tell me you're Christian if you go to school and tease people. You're not a Christian. Do you even read your Bible? Well, I know about this, and I know the religion, I know the saints, and know this, and know that. Wait. But have you read the Bible yourself?
Have you understood it?
Have you understood it? You got knowledge?
Not only read, but do you really understand the word?
And seeking understanding.
And questioning, right?
And great to question, because there are answers. Not to every question, but there are many. That's why I gave my life to God. I knew that God was real, not because I've seen angels, but because I've seen demons. And not just demons in Africa and Latin America, but in my hotel room in San Francisco, California. And when you see demons, you ain't atheist after that. And so for me, looking for faith and looking for heaven and looking for eternity, my biggest question was, why is there pain? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I realize now that when you don't get a miracle, you can still be one. Arms and legs are great, but if he can use me to be his hands and feet and stand in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic, and one person comes to me in heaven and says, God used your story to help me believe that this place called heaven was real. What is that joy compared to arms and legs, 10 fingers and 10 toes, when you have a soul, spirit, and mind that is healed and redeemed, and you can be confident, you can be powerful, and be humble? There is nothing that my God cannot do.
Wow, there is no judgment in this room whatsoever. Really, only admiration.
I'm very thankful for allowing me to share this, because there are many main media channels that actually don't want me to talk about faith at all.
I mean, why not? There's nothing bad in it. Yeah. Reaching the level of consciousness.
Consciousness.
Right? That you have reached. This is what I would want for myself. When you work in media, when you do our job, this line of business, we see a lot of things. One thing that really would hurt me, and it hurts me every time, always brings tears in my eyes, is, for example, Yemen, children of Yemen. And Amal Hussein, and I always mention her, and people forget. People tend to forget, people see it on the news, and just, you know, it's just one picture in front of them, and the next moment they will just change the channel. They will not stop and think, oh my God, that is real. And then I sit back and I think, okay, that's not fair. But God is fair. How come this is happening? What did a child do to anybody to deserve this? Because they taught me, whatever you deserve, you will get. That's God. But what did Amal Hussein do? What did 85,000 children in Yemen do? What did over 1,000 children in Sarajevo do to lose their lives like that in the 90s? How do you then, I'm just trying to perceive.
Yes. No, I love the question.
You know where I'm going?
I get it. So there's knowledge about what you've been taught, but there's also another side of what you give is what you get. That context is what you sow is what you reap. But just because you are a good person doesn't mean that everything's good. No, there were many stories in the Bible where people were good. They became slaves, imprisoned, beaten, killed.
Jesus, look at Jesus. He was crucified.
Jesus was God. We understand He's the Son of God. As Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant believers, we know Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the things that I've been taught. For me, this is my personal.
And Muslims too. All those people are in Islam too. Abraham is Ibrahim, right? So we have it's the same thing. You know, it's just how we interpret things. And I feel like we are all the same, but still somehow religion divides us instead of bring us together.
So going back to first that question where we understand what you sow is what you reap, where I can love God, but we know that God doesn't come from pain. That comes from the devil. So he is a roaring lion seeking to kill, destroy, and devour. My question was the knowledge. Well, then he was a serpent in the Garden of Eden. He gave Adam and Eve a Garden of Eden. God gave the garden, and then allowed the serpent to come in the Garden of Eden. Why would God allow Satan to come there if he was going to now destroy the world? Period. Well, the understanding of that is that if the serpent didn't come in the Garden of Eden, then there would be a way that I could intellectually argue that if all they heard was God's voice, then God never gave us free will. And so when they actually fell into sin and they used free choice, you actually later see that Adam and Eve started teaching the ways of God to their children. And so we now have free choice, and the pain is in the world. No, there is nothing that I did that I deserve this. I don't believe in reincarnation, that I was born in my previous life and I was a bad boy and now I'm being punished. Someone told me that. And I said, no, I don't believe that. As a Christian, you have to believe as a Christian. As a Muslim, you're going to believe as a Muslim. I'm not here to debate any differences of religions, but I'm here to say the bottom line is God is in control and He'll give you grace that is sufficient, and heaven is real. And for me, we know that the devil will be done one day, and heaven is real. And I feel like the first part of that question as well is, think of this. I live in California, a state that on a global level was the 6th strongest economy in the world. You know what our biggest problem is? Homelessness. And people go to church and blah, blah, blah. Yes, who are you? Oh,
and they walk past.
And they walk past.
Homeless person, they will not even look at him.
Tens of thousands of people homeless in Los Angeles. And so the bottom line is, going back to be the change. Yeah? Be the love. Be the hands and feet. Go and feed the hungry. Go help the foster kids. Help and adopt. There was a guy called Muhammad in California. Do you know what he did? And he's a Muslim. He loved these kids. You know what he did? He took in dying foster kids. Dying. The abandoned and the dying. And I'm inspired by people like Muhammad. And what we got to do is we got to be love. We got to be the hands and feet of love. And I'm not here to debate the differences of religions as much as let's together look at the world and let's see how we can make the world a better place.
Starting with the smallest things today.
Today, with you and with me.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
I'll say this for Sarajevo. People think that Australia was paved with gold. In fact, I couldn't have any money from the government to actually go to university. To go to university, I needed a nurse to feed me. The government couldn't help me get a nurse to go to tertiary studies, but Australians helped Australians. And they actually started a non-profit organization to say, you know what, we should make it possible for people with special needs to actually go to university. Let's give money for nurses to feed disabled people to go to university. And if Australians didn't help Australians, I would not have got a double degree in accounting and financial planning. If I didn't get my tertiary studies, I would not have gone to America. If I didn't go to America, I would not have met my wife. And if I didn't meet my wife, I wouldn't have my kids. Because Australians helped Australians.
There's the community from the beginning of our story.
So may more people in Sarajevo help more people in Sarajevo.
It's a really, really, really important matter.
Important.
Community.
Muslim, Christian, Jew, Hindu.
Especially in Sarajevo, when you think of it. 4 major religions in one city, European Jerusalem. I mean, Sarajevans do have that, thing about helping each other. They do.
They do.
They do, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of living here. I'm proud of living here. Really, I am.
You should be. You know?
I'm glad you're here. You can feel that. Who are our role models today?
Who are our role models?
Yeah. Who should be?
Who should be?
And who are?
I mean, apart from my faith in Jesus, I think about. I think...
Got you there.
That's a really good one. I have my own role models. I don't see politics or an organization or a political organization as a role model, because we're all still human. But I think anyone who has the role model of within their measurement of their faith. I mean, that's all, to me, that's what I do.
You know that children today, their role models are superstars and actors and...
Yeah. Yeah,
who should
definitely.
be then? There we go to the other question. Who should be their real role models?
Well, I have my own opinion on that, which may actually be a disagreement on TV. So
I'm anxious to hear it. Share.
Look, when you
can say
period.
anything here.
No, I won't even say
like we said,
whoever
there's
they
no
are.
judgment here.
But I will say anyone who spreads love and positivity, if that inspires you to do
You're not going to
good-
answer my question,
no,
right?
I'm not going to answer your question.
Okay,
But
just leave it there then.
But what I will say is let's instigate positive love, and let's not look at a person as a god, because only God is God. And here on earth right now, when you look at everyone and you see bullying in politics from both sides, and you know that there's not one perfect government, there's not one perfect human being, but with God's help, you know, here on earth right now, there's a lot of problems, and we need to come back to the basics, and that's our passion. I'm able to meet many governments about bringing the basics back, but I have to say that Sarajevo is the most unique place I've ever been on earth.
Is it because you're here?
No.
Or?
No, not because you're interviewing me on Sarajevo TV either, no. But I'll tell you this.
Why is it so unique to you?
It's because of the diversity of the culture. I mean, you know, last night, I've never heard this before. You hear the church bells ringing of Orthodox or Catholic Church, and then you hear the Muslim prayer. I've never had that experience before. And walking through the streets here, and so much history here. But I'm very thankful that whether it's in Serbia or Croatia or Bosnia-Herzegovina, I mean, look, my aunt that my mum's brother married is Bosnian. Another uncle of mine married a Croatian.
I knew you had some Bosnian roots.
Well, we married into, right? And
Yeah.
so what we got to understand is it's not about who am I, it's about, and not what's happened. And that's why I have hope for this region, because the young people don't want to live in the past. They want to move forward.
Do you think that?
For the most part, yes, I do. I do.
I'm really hoping so.
You know, and
we do see a lot of disagreement on that.
Yeah, but it's not just.
Because the role models are people from the past who hadn't done the right things.
So watch this. Ready? So the people in the past who had the power to do the right things, let's say, didn't do the right things. Now the next generation who wants to do the right things doesn't have the power to do the right things. Or do they? So how do we do that? We empower them with values. I think all the Balkan region needs to bring in financial literacy, entrepreneurship into your own country, that less people leave the countries for opportunity. With virtual reality, with technology, with apps, with design, with engineering, innovation, we have a lot of smart people in this region. Look at our history.
Oh, Nick, they're leaving.
I know.
They're leaving in large numbers at the time.
So that's what I'm saying. For all the business people, for all the government in the education system, let's teach them financial literacy. Let's teach them entrepreneurship. Let's help them and challenge them to think differently, that I'm just going to go get a job. Well, why am I leaving? Well, because there's no opportunity. Well, what if we could empower you to make opportunity?
Yeah, to create that opportunity.
These are the countries that have perfected that.
Right? I mean,
and why can't we?
You have the soil where you can basically do anything that you want. Especially when there are no rules whatsoever. You can do whatever you want. You can create whatever you want. Isn't it like that? It's easier to create something here than, for example, in Germany or Austria, right?
100%, in my opinion.
Why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not difficult. It's focus, it's intention, and it's prioritizing. Okay, how do we change this? And don't just blame someone for leaving. And by the way, if you left your country, don't forget your country and give back to your country. But at the same time, what can we do different that changes the trajectory of our country?
There's one saying that I read, one of your quotes, that really got to me, and it can be applied to this region. It goes, we can't and we should not compare sufferings. We come together as a family of God, hand in hand. And then together, coming and standing upon the promises of God, knowing that no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, that God knows it. He's with you. He's going to pull you through. And you know why I say it can be applied here? Because people in the Balkans very often compare sufferings. Say, well, you had your atrocities, but ours are bigger, or ours are worse, or our pain is bigger, or our pain is worse than yours. No, my pain is bigger.
Wow.
We should not compare sufferings.
Well
that
said.
really, you know what I mean?
Well said.
No, you said that.
Yeah, but that commentary is well said.
How do we stop doing that? How do we stop doing? Say, hey, you know what, guys? Let's just start over. My pain is your pain. I'll share my pain with you.
And when we share each other's pain, we sometimes feel like, oh, I need to be vulnerable. I'm showing weakness to tell you my pain. That's the Slavic Balkan region mentality. No, I don't see that as a weakness at all. In fact, it's humility, and it's facing what we're going through. And I'm going to pray for you, but how am I going to pray for you if you don't tell me what to pray for? And so we need each other hand in hand. We need to pray for one another. How do you stop comparing? You simply cannot compare. I think the only way to educate people on that and actually bring a full closure and real consciousness to this is go see other people's pain. Go and talk to somebody who was sexually abused for 10 years straight. Go to a place where there is no food. Go to a place where there is somebody who's dying because simply the hospital doesn't have what they need to save them.
In Bosnia, you can do that in so many places. We had, my colleagues and I, we had a chance to speak to, for example, mothers of Srebrenica, women who lost their children right in front of their eyes. And when you see that kind of a pain, and when you see the forgiveness they shared with you, it's something unimaginable. I'm a mother too. I cannot imagine. But when I see that strength, that's something that gives me hope.
It's called redemption, and it is hope.
It is hope.
And the redemption is real.
I'm on a good way, right?
You're doing. This is exactly.
Well.
This is. I love this. This is. This is. This is so
I'm just
beautiful.
finding out this.
No. But this is beautiful because in the end, reporting, rehearsing, cursing, and nursing the past doesn't do anything good for society. But if I can come to you and I can say, how can I help you? All the lies in my head, you're not good enough, there is no hope. No, I just help someone. And if I didn't feed that person, if I didn't listen to that person, if I didn't try and encourage that person, I don't know who else would that day. And it's not to say, oh, I did something. No, it's actually an instigation of purposeness, which I believe is the cure of depression and oppression, is to go try be someone else's answer to their prayer.
I've heard it so many times, and I've heard the thing when they tell me, you know, usually you don't remember what somebody have told you, but the way they told you, you know, that's the thing that we remember about people, the way they communicated something.
Yes.
It could be a smile, it could be a tone of the voice.
Yes. You got to look people in the eyes. It's body language. Don't look down. That's the
people
eyes are
look down a lot.
Yeah, got to look in the soul.
Yeah, like you're looking for the eyes. Yeah, people don't look into the eyes anymore.
There are some people
like we're doing right now.
Exactly, the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's true. That's the connection. It's the human connection.
We're all human when you look at it that way. When we go to bed at night and we think, wow, this place is actually beautiful. You know, it's such a pity that we can't build it better and faster.
And look, you'll always have ups and downs. I still cry. I still, you know, I have many stresses in my life. I've had a death threat from a Catholic. I had a death threat from a Muslim. I've had death threats from other people. And when you have problems in your life that looks differently, when you know that where you are is where you're supposed to be. And I tell everyone, there are many loving people. Don't just judge them because of their religion, because someone else did something like that. We need to love each other, know that we are all valuable, and love is the greatest answer. And when you have learned to love yourself, not because of comparing or just looking at your brokenness and saying, oh, I'm always going to be broken. I hope today people can see a man without arms and legs who's not more special. But all I did was give my broken pieces to God. I said, God, I love you. Take my life. Forgive me of my sins. Teach me. Show me how to pray. Show me how to read the promises of God that's written. And not just trust human beings to tell me what God says and what God wants. Read the Bible yourself. And as we all love each other, that's the answer.
Wow. I'm going to leave it there.
Sounds great.
Nick, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think this was a journey. This was definitely a journey, not just for me, especially for me, because I'm experiencing it myself right here in real time. But I'm very, very sure for our viewers as well of the region. Thank you so much for sharing this and being here. And I hope your stay here in Sarajevo and tonight in Banja Luka is blessed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And last night was so electric, I felt to come back, and I normally don't commit to coming back. I don't know when exactly, I don't know in what capacity, but I'm here to love everyone, and I feel called to come back. I go to Serbia 3 times a year. I love Serbia. I want to buy a house in Serbia. I want my family to go to Serbia 1 month every year until we die. I love this region. It's in my blood.
Hey, this is your home.
This is my home. And
this is your home.
And I just want you all to know, thank you for loving me. Please pray for me. And I will be all praying for all of you. And thank you so much for who you are and emanating love and clarity and getting straight to the point and no fluff.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Poštovani gledalci, bio je to Nick Vujičić, ja sam Mika Ferrer-Gotić. Hvala za pažnju.